We have a lovely lady who's come into studio. Very pleasant, very nice to talk to. And she's got a story, you know. We ever always encouraged to, meet someone, settle down, have a family. And this lovely young lady struggled growing up, and when she married, she unfortunately picked the wrong man who made her life unbearable. And at some point she had to go for corrective surgery to correct a damaged nerve from the frequent beatings. And little did she know that behind her back, the man that she loved so much was making a move on her children. Jane Wanjiko. Jane Wanjiko.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm blessed. And you?
I'm fantastic.
Good.
Why do you say a marriage from hell?
It was quite a journey.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for about 13 years.
13 years.
Yes, in that marriage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Jane here, Jane is a mother.
Uh-huh.
A mother of two.
Two children.
Yes, Baraka and Wendo.
Where did you meet this man?
This man we met in church.
In church?
Yes, in Kahawa West.
Ah, okay.
Yes, I had my boy that I was still a single mom, a young single mother.
Oh, now the Baraka now.
Baraka, yes.
Yeah.
Baraka was around 4 years old
Okay.
when I met this guy in church.
Uh-huh.
He had lost his wife. He was a widower.
Okay.
Like 3 months before we met.
Oh, it's when he lost his wife?
Yeah, it's when he lost his wife. Yeah, so as a church we were going there for Molest and all that. And that's when we got to know each other.
Watu wanaomboleza na wewe unaangalia.
No. Yeye ndiye aliangalia. Because after that he followed up on me.
Uh-huh.
And he told me that time I had a ministry.
Okay.
I was taking care of less fortunate kids.
Okay.
And I also had a small gathering in Kibera, a fellowship.
Yes.
So he told me, I heard that you're doing good things in Kibera. I would like to be of help to you in your ministry. And so I told him, yeah, I was looking for someone who can support me, you see.
Yes.
That's even if in inbox.
Aha.
Yes, so after a few days we went to Kibera. We met one of my foster son who was mentally retarded. And when he saw him, he told me, we can take care of this boy because he was living all alone. The parents had died.
Wow, how old was he?
The boy was 18, but
18.
because of the disability, he looked very young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had epilepsy, and he had a condition that he wasn't a normal child.
Yes.
So
and he lived all alone in Kibera?
Yes, yes. I was the one who was taking care of him.
Which year was this?
That was in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how we moved in. So I brought the boy, and he told me, you know what, we need someone to take care of this boy. And because I was all alone, I decided, okay, I'll be coming through the day and then I leave in the evening. I was living in a very small house with my boy. That's why I couldn't accommodate this boy.
So this boy went to live at his house?
Yes, at his house.
Okay.
So as we were taking care of the boy, the chemistry started building up. And the guy, we started talking. We went to his pastor and we told him we want to get married. Pastor refused.
Why?
He said no, the man is not ready because he had lost his wife like three months.
So you just said you met him 3 months after he lost his wife.
Yes.
So in that same month tayari ushataka kuoa.
Ndio hiyo tunaona.
Si unapeleka mambo haraka.
You see, he was a very lovely guy.
Yes.
And he was so passionate about God.
Ah, okay.
But for sure, I think he was suffering. He was battling something that I didn't understand what it was. Because within that month, okay, the pastor refused, so we got married. I was still very young spiritually.
Okay.
And even I was 23, 24 years old. So I wasn't I wasn't familiar with relationships that much. So that very month, I saw a red flag. I remember one time we visited his mother.
Yes.
Just for introduction, and the brother was there. I remember I came in with my son and this other boy, my foster son.
Yes.
So his brother said, why marry a woman with a mad child? You can't have kids of your own. And let me tell you, he beat him up.
He beat his brother up.
Yes, his brother, and he's the older brother.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, 2 weeks and this guy is like this. I couldn't believe it, because on my side he was very good.
Yes.
And what I came to learn is that he was suffering from narcissist disorder, personality. Yes, so I ignored the red flag. But by the end of that month, I don't know what my son did.
Now your actual son, Baraka.
Yeah. My biological son. And he was really beaten again. And then this other foster boy, also because of his condition, he used to mess up in the toilet and all that.
Yeah.
The guy used to beat him. Remember this time, I remember before we got married, as we were still taking care of that boy the first few days, I asked him, because I had this passion to preach. But I realized I have a passion but without knowledge. I needed to have some knowledge. To go to a Bible school somewhere and do some theology. So that point, he told me there's a school and I can pay for you. It is in Bungoma. And for sure he did within the first few days.
So you left Nairobi and went all the way to Bungoma?
Yes. And so when the red flags started showing up, we had already booked the school and everything was in place within a week. So, okay, what happens with narcissistic disorders? At first they love bomb you completely until you forget about yourself or anything else.
Ni mapenzi ya mteremko.
Mapenzi ile kali. That guy was like, I couldn't believe it.
What was he doing that made you feel so loved?
You see, he was very, he was very charming, loving. He was ready to introduce me to the whole world, to all his friends and all that. Within 2 days, all his friends, his family,
they knew you.
Yeah, they knew.
Na vile mnapendanga
And that is what we all want. Even ndivyo wanawake wanataka. Yeah, someone that you feel ni ulimwengu wote kwako. So that's what happened. But let me tell you, going to Bible school is the greatest mistake I did.
Because you left Nairobi to go to Bungoma.
I left Nairobi. I went to Bungoma. Remember, the marriage is still very, very young. And I've left my kids with this guy who is like a total stranger, because I can't say that I knew him before. So I'm like...
this is now how long of knowing each other before now you left for Bungoma?
It was around like 3 months now.
Okay, so it's 6 months after his wife died?
Yes.
Okay.
So, but when he beat my son, I told him, I felt it, and I was like, and this other boy, I was like, this guy, I don't know if he will continue with these beatings, because I don't know what will happen to my kids. So I asked him, let me take my children to my sister's place, because it wasn't far from where we used to live. But he told me, you know what, we already married. So if you take your kids away from this home, that means you want to divorce me. So leave them here with me. I'm okay with them. I'll take care of them. And so I left. Little did I know that when I left, he started sodomizing these 2 boys.
What?
Yes. So when I came back, we had normal academic years like any other school.
Yes.
Whereby you go for 3 months, then you come home for holiday for a month, and then you go back again 3 months. The course was to take around 1 year. So that was in 2004 now. So when I came back the first term, I noted that my son had really withdrawn. He had really withdrawn. And I was like, I didn't, okay, I think I was also naive in a way. So when I used to wash him, so I prepared him, and he told me, Mom, you know what, nowadays I wash myself. Don't worry, I'll do it. I know how to do it. Daddy taught me how to wash myself.
How old was he at that time?
He was around 5 years now. Going to 5 years, yes. So I was happy, you know. It's an achievement for every parent to see that the boy is responsible. At that age, he was in pre-unit. He was going to pre-unit. So, but I could tell he had really withdrawn. And I'm in school, and I cannot, I was to finish my year. So I went back to college, and when I came back the second holiday, he was still the same boy.
Yes.
Someone who is withdrawn, not happy at all, and he was threatened not to tell me anything. But when I came for the second term, I was told to take this foster son back to his people. One sister was alive, so and I knew where she is. So I took the boy back, and he was left with my son. But at this point, I think he had stopped sodomizing my son, because I came to learn last year. That's when my kids told me what happened. So according to my son, the first time he started doing it, he was using pills to make him sleep. And then he does it. Then after a while, he stopped. Now he was doing it without even pills. So my son used to scream a lot, and that's when he stopped. But he hated my son so much. I could tell he hated him so much.
How could you tell?
Very small mistake. Like one event I remember, my son, I sent my son to the shop to buy a bread. And he found the shop was closed. It was very early in the morning. So when he came back, I gave him 100 bob. So he left the 100 bob there and went to school. I prepared him, he went to school. So, and I left for work. When my son came back, he was asked, where is the 100 that you were given in the morning? And only to realize that the money was still on the table, but my husband didn't bother to look for the money. So by the time my son explains what happens, he was thoroughly beaten. So I noted, there's some hatred of a sort that I can't understand. And this other boy, I had taken him back to his people.
Yeah.
So, but this time, I was also in it. He was also beating me a lot.
For what? Like, in what situation?
Okay, for one, he was very possessive. Like, if I go to work, I have to explain what time I got to the office. I have to, when I get to back to home, I have to tell him now I'm in a mat. By this time, I'll be at bus stop. And if I'm going to the market, I have to tell him so that he can tie me up. So
he can time.
Yes.
So hata ukipata traffic jam you have to explain him.
Nitachapwa.
Wacha.
Juu nilisema natoka 5.
Na umefika 7:30 ulikuwa wapi?
And you remember those days, Thika Road, it was very, very tough.
Yeah, before they built the super highway.
Yes, before they built the super highway. You could even take like 2 or 3 hours on the road. So utaenda uchapwe. Ilikuwa ni mistake kama hizo. The other thing, maybe ameita marafiki zake home, wamekuja, and maybe they comment something like, hey, you have a very beautiful wife. Wakienda nitachapwa. So it's kumbe, you like, know this guy is. So that's why I'm saying it's like he was sick. He wasn't himself at all. He was very, very possessive. And anytime he introduced me to his people, or maybe if we go to a church somewhere, he used to tell them, we are the beauty and the beast.
And people would laugh thinking it's just,
yes, and for sure he was
and
a beast.
And he looks not very handsome, so that they thought that was a joke.
Yes, so that means he had a low self-esteem. I think so. I don't know. So I remember one time we had come from Molest. He had lost one of his friends, like a spiritual mentor. And we came back from Molest, and our car broke down along Eastlands. And you know that place at night. It was around 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
So the car broke down, and we were with his friend, one of his friends. So, and we told him we can't stay here till morning because this place is dangerous. And so he said, and that car, he had one of his exes bought him that car. They were still in touch. So
how did you find out?
She used to call me. And she used to tell me, you know what, as much as you're in that house, I was the first one. So it doesn't matter. And again, he used to tell me, the man, my late used to tell me, you know, we did a blood covenant with this lady.
What is a blood covenant?
He cut himself and cut the lady, and then they mingled the blood.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what.
That means they're together forever.
Yeah, that's what he told me. But she left to UK. I think that's where the separation came in.
Ah, okay.
But they were still in touch. So this guy, when I told him we can't stay there till morning because it's dangerous. And then by that time, my daughter was around 11 months. So I told him we left the baby in the house, so we can't stay here until morning. We don't know what is happening. So he said, I'm being jealous because of this vehicle, because I know who bought it. So when we got home, he slammed my head against the wall.
Because of what?
Because I challenged him. I told him we can't, and of course even the friend that we were with told him, Julius, you know what, we can't risk our lives because of Mabati, you know, the car.
Yeah.
And so he said, you gang up against me with Peter. So so that's when he beat me up. He slammed, actually, he held my head and slammed it against the wall. And that's where I got the nerve compression.
Okay.
That was in 2006. After like 3-4 months, I started twitching on my upper eyelid, started twitching. I didn't know what was happening. So when we went to the hospital, that's when I was told these are nerve, these are damaged. Before then, the doctors used to think that I have Bell's palsy. Yet it wasn't Bell's palsy. It was a compression. The nerve was compressed between a large vein and a artery. So the three were compressed.
Yes.
And I needed a surgery, and it is very expensive. And there are very few doctors who does that. So that year, same year, 2006, that's when he got sick.
2006.
2006. And actually after that beating, he started like bleeding, losing weight and all that. So when we went to the hospital, he was told that he has diabetes. He had lost much weight because he was from 104 to 63.
Wow, that's almost half.
Yes. So, and I remember one time, because he didn't stop beating me even after that. So I remember one time that's why I think he was also in depression. So one time he beat me up, and I had a church within the compound. So the neighbors went and called my church members, and they told them, you know what, your pastor anauliwa. Pastor wenu anauliwa, kujeni mumsave. So this lady, one of my leaders in church came. She's a lady, and she told my man that you are not going to beat her again. And let me tell you, from today, God will punish you. And that's what happened. That is when he started ailing.
What?
That's when he started ailing. And he told him, this lady that you hate so much will take care of you to your
Deathbed.
to your deathbed. Yeah. And for sure that's what happened. Okay, I even looked for that lady. I told her, oh, you need to come and renounce the words that you said, because I think that's what he's suffering from. She was very bitter. I was bleeding on the floor. And this man is still beating me up. I think that anger is what provoked. I don't know if God provoked or what, because that's when he started ailing. That was in 2006, 2010. By 2010, he was now, everyone could notice that he's sick. Then 2013, he was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, it started with diabetes, then
Yes.
with time it developed to cancer.
Yes. But all this time, he had planted a very bad seed against me and my children, to hate me, and especially my daughter. Because people thought that he loved my daughter so much.
Yeah.
Yet he was also abusing my daughter.
Wow.
But at this time, he used to tell her that the reason why I'm doing all this is because I love you. And you know what? Your mom hates you, and she's a demon. So my daughter, because she was young, she tended to believe it. And it reached to a point that even when I washed the baby, then when I go to work, because he wasn't working, I was the one providing everything. I was the one who was paying the bills and all that, paying the school fees. So you see, during the day I'm busy. So he's with the children. So he had all the time to brainwash them. So my daughter hated me so much. And 2016, when he died, both of my children got into depression, total depression, because my son started doing drugs.
How old was he then?
He was 17.
In
He was in
2013?
Form 4, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, he did his KCSE in 2016. But immediately after exam, he started doing drugs. He changed completely. And I didn't know what was happening. I had no experience with a depressed person. So we were fighting a lot. Like, I couldn't understand how can someone from a pastor house do that. So I told him, we need to see okay, before then, he went to Eldoret College. And one night he called me and he told me, Mom, you know what? I love you so much. Okay, my son loved me. As much as this guy tried to build a wall between us, my son still loved me. So he told me, Mom, I love you so much. And there's a lot that I'm going through. And right now as we talk, I'm ready to kill myself. I already have the poison here with me. Remember, I'm in Nairobi, he's in Eldoret.
Yes.
It's late at night, around 11 p.m. So I told him, you know what, don't do it now, let me call you in a minute. So I disconnected the call. I called a couple friend, they are my friends, and I told them what has happened, and they told me, let us call him. They called him and they told him, come the following day, very early in the morning. They sent him bus fare. So my son came, and that's when he said he's in drugs, but he didn't say why, what is happening, what triggered that, because he was very scared to share, because he knew that I'm also depressed, because we walked the journey with my husband. He was very sick. That drained me completely. I had a business, it went down. I had so many bills, loans, facilities I was not able to pay, so I was also in depression. So, and he didn't want to share this. He thought that he will overcome on his own. So this time, he left the school. He said he's not going back to college. And so we started living together but he was still in drugs. So 2019 is when he decided to quit. One morning, I remember I was going for prayers at Heaven's Gate, Nakuru.
Yes.
And he told me, you know what, Mom? Regardless of what I've been through, you've stood with me, and you've loved me so much. So I've decided to quit. I was so happy. We hugged, we cried, and I told him, now I'm going now to give thanks. I went to the prayer center. I prayed for 3 days, fasting. I came back. I found my son was very, very sick, very sick. They withdrawal symptoms. And I took him to Madari Hospital, and they did detox. And after a few months, my son was okay. And up to date, he recovered fully. But then, the same year, 2019, because that's when my daughter also joined Form 1, then she got into it also.
Drugs?
No. She got into depression. So she used to self-harm. Instead of drugs, she used to self-harm. Angejikatakata mwili yote ana bleed, damu inamwagika tu. So when Corona came in 2020, and then that time she used to write letters.
Yes.
She used to make notes to her dad.
Who had already passed on 3 years before.
Yes.
So what would she write in the letters?
She used to tell him that, Dad, I feel empty. I also want to die like you died. I don't understand life. You see, he used to, the things that he used to do, like pampering her and all that, so that she can
Give in.
Yes. So that's what she misses. She used to miss. And then she was told that I'm bad. So that seed is still operating in her. So what happened 2020 when Corona came and we were told to go and pick our girls. When we came home, I remember we were watching a movie, and my daughter told me that movie was about depression. She used to tune into songs that related to depression and all that, and movies. So she told me, you know what, Mom, I've tried to kill myself so many times since I joined Form 1. I don't want that school. And I asked her, what are we going to do? Because primary school was the same case. She used to transfer from one school to another. So this time she told me, this is what I've done to myself. Then she pulled up her sweater and she showed me one of her hands. And she had full cuts, deep cuts. I really screamed. Because these things we watch on movies.
Yeah.
And now it's your own child.
And the wounds are still fresh and
They
they're
are still
deep.
fresh, yes.
Yeah.
Still fresh and deep, and they are not nasty, so you can imagine.
Infections. It
Zilikuwa
just looks
zinakaa
nasty.
mbaya, yes. So I asked her, I got confused at that point. I called my son. That time he used to work in Kahawa West. So I called him, I told him, Ebu come now, kuja mbio, because there's something that I want you to see. So I took her a photo, and when my son came, she was already in her bedroom, and I'm here crying. And this is what my son told me. You know what? My sister is sick, and there's a trigger to this. You see, for him, he understands why he was doing what he was doing.
Yes.
But he was still depressed. As much as he was not in drugs, he was still depressed because this issue is not catered. So this is when my daughter, now I was like, now what is this? We decided to sort for a counselor. The person who was working with my son, she's called Counselor Mary, is the one who started working now with my daughter. But it reached to a point where my daughter said, now, Mom, I want a male figure, a father figure.
Yes.
So I had to sort for another counselor. And now they were working, both of them. This lady and this man, they were both helping my daughter. So last year, my the nerve that got compressed, became even more worse.
Yeah.
I think it's also because of stress and all that. And I started fundraising because the surgery was very expensive. I needed 6 million
Wow.
to have it done.
Here or in
There's
outside?
no doctor here.
Oh
who
yeah, you
could
told
do
me
it.
there's no one.
Yeah.
So where did you go?
I was to go to the US, but unfortunately, I didn't get the visa. They delayed the appointment, and I was really ailing, so I decided to go to India.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is what happened. When I was still fundraising, my daughter got really sick, now depressed completely, whereby she refused even to go to school and all that. And I couldn't understand, because I had transferred her from the school that she said she doesn't want to a private school, a good private school. And this time she was still in depression. I was like, now, how can I help? So one time she told this gentleman, the counselor, what happened, that the dad used to molest her. And this person, this counselor told her, now this one we can't keep it to ourselves. You have to share with your mother, because this one is very sensitive, and she needs to know what was happening. So she came, and she told me, I remember it was on a Friday. She told me, Mom, you know what? I've gone through a lot. And I asked her, what is it again? And she told me, you know what? Dad used to do A, B, C, D. You can imagine how I felt.
And this one you haven't found out about the boy yet?
Yeah, not yet. So when she told me that, I didn't want to panic, because the first time she told me about the cutting, I panicked and I screamed. So this time I decided, let me cool myself down. This is heavier than even what I saw. But I told her, you know what, my love, my hug is genuine, because I can't harm you. At that point she started now coming back, and I told her, she told me, tonight I'll spend the night, I will sleep on your bed. She was very scared. So the following day she felt like, now why did I tell my mother? She would get depressed. And it was now Saturday, and she was supposed to go back to school on Sunday. So that Saturday, I told her, pack your belongings, and I go do for the shopping. And then Sunday we just go for lunch, and I take you back to school. So she was waiting for me to go out. At that point, there was a medication. I was on medication throughout the years. I was using gabapentin, 600 mg.
That's now for the nerve?
For the nerve, for
Okay.
the head, for the nerve pain. So she took 30 capsules.
30?
30 of them. She thought she will die. No, she started with a knife. She took a kitchen knife. She cut her wrist like this.
Yes.
And she did it in the toilet so that I don't see the traces, the blood. After that, she realized she's not dying. That's when she took the medication. 30 of them. A pack had 36, so I had taken 3. So she took 30, and I think she left 3. So she saw that she's not dying. The house that I live in, sisi tuko kwa juu kabisa.
Yeah.
And the ceiling, you can move it and see the pillars,
Yeah.
zile mbao.
Yeah, zile truss uko juu.
Yeah, she took my gown, the mshipi.
Yes.
Akaifungilia pale juu. So she wanted to hang herself. But because she's short, she couldn't reach to that point.
Yes.
But alimanage kusongesha na ile nini mti ya ufagio. Hakuweza. So, but you see, amejikata na amemwaga damu nyingi sana. So by the time I was coming back, she was sleeping on the couch. But I could tell she's not okay. But this counselor, the lady used to tell me, when you see her down, don't bother her. Just let her be. So when I found she's down, I asked her, are you okay? She said yes. But I could tell she's not okay. So I made lunch, we ate. I asked her, what do we cook? She said, anything. But at that point, I could tell she was on that couch for more than 5 hours. Then we left. At night, we went to sleep. But she couldn't sleep. I could tell in the morning her eyes were red.
Yes.
So she told me, well, we prepared, we went for lunch. As we were waiting for lunch to be ready, she told me, I'm feeling dizzy and I feel I want to puke. I told her, let's go home. And she told me, no, ma'am, let's go to school. She wanted to die in school.
What?
Because she didn't manage yesterday at home. So when we got to school, at the reception, she puked. And I could tell, no, this is not okay. I told her, no, I'm not leaving you here. Let's go home. And at this point, that's when she told me, you know what, ma'am, please forgive me. And I asked her, what have you done this time? She told me, you see, I did it again. Show me the hand. I screamed again. That time I couldn't control myself. And
Yes.
the dean of student came and she asked me, what is happening? I told her, things are not okay here. I need to go back with my daughter because I showed her the hand. And I took a photo. She told me, no, if she did this in the house, we can't trust her going back to that house. So do this, because we have a counselor and we have a nurse here. Let's give her like 1 or 2 days and see if this will change. And that is when I went home, yes. But let me tell you, I wasn't okay. I remember I went and shared that photo with one of my friends. And I told her, please help me cry. Let's pray, because Wendo now is back to what she used to do. And the following day, I woke up very early in the morning. I went to school. I told them, please give me my child. No, I can't trust her being here. And the way that wound was very deep. Actually, she had cut this vein. So I took her
And
straight.
the school, have they done any medication to her, or they just tied like a bandage? Or
It's just a bandage, nothing more. So the wound was rotting in a way. So I took her to the hospital and she was admitted that very moment. So in the evening I called when we got to the hospital, I called my son. I told her, let's meet at home. But remember, at this time, now I know what is happening. I decided, now let me share with my son. So he came home in the evening. I told him, your sister is admitted and let's have supper and then I'll tell you what. He asked me, what is the trigger? I told him, I'll tell you after we eat. And he told me, no, ma'am, we can't. Just tell me what it is, no matter how bad it is. Kumbe, he was sensing, he thought maybe something happened. He couldn't believe he's the dad, but he thought maybe the girl was molested somewhere else. So this is now the time. I told him, you know what? We used to call him Daddy. Daddy did ABCD to Wendo. The boy cried. I remember we had a pack of serviettes, ile unaekeleanga kwa dining hapo. Alitumia one by one mpaka zikaisha. And also I couldn't control my tears also. We cried for hours. And then he told me, you know what, Mom, there's something that I have never told you. And I thought, this man did this to me because I'm not his biological son. How can he do that to his own daughter? So I started shaking. I didn't want to hear what he had to say. He told me, you know what, when you left Bible school, this man sodomized me. Not once, not twice. He did it until when I couldn't hold it anymore. I used to scream. And because our neighbors, the house was close to our neighbors. So I think he realized they will know what he's doing. So that time, that's when I realized what it means to be into depression. Because I got into it within seconds. I hated myself.
For making such a, what you'd consider like a mistake,
Yes.
picking a wrong man.
Yes, why did I was like, what was I doing in that house? I wish they told me. But you see, again, I don't want to blame them so that they don't
Because
feel
they were
like,
just kids anyway.
yeah. So I asked him, and what is happening with you now? What happened? And you know what? Since then, I've been using, that's why I left the house. Immediately after college, I didn't want to stay with you because you will notice I can't go to loo normally. He used to use a reluctant for the boils so that he can go a soft stool. He can do a soft stool.
Even as an adult on that.
Yes. For all those, and he used to suffer a lot. I felt it. I felt like I hated myself at that point.
How did you recover?
It wasn't easy at all. We had to do now family sessions like 3 times in a week.
Family counseling?
Yes.
Where, at a professional center or a church?
Yeah, with a professional. Because all of us now, we are sick. My daughter is admitted. Here is my son, he's sick, he needs a surgery. He told me there are things, the hemorrhoids, because he was sodomized when he was very young, so he got a crack at the back. And because of that, there were hemorrhoids growing from inside coming to
outside. And he
outside.
can't tell anyone.
And he can't tell anyone. And he used to bleed. He used to tell me, every time I go for loo, for long haul, I bleed a lot. That's why he was using the reluctant so he can do a soft stool. So the following day we went to the hospital with him. We went and met a doctor, and they promised to do the surgery to tie those hemorrhoids, alafu wazitoe. But when you go to the hospital and the doctor, unajua of course lazima muambie hebu nionyeshe and all that. So when the doctor saw those things zenye zimegrow hapo ndani, he told him we need to do a colonoscopy so that tuone uko ndani pia iko damaged. How we need to know how damaged it is. So he said, no, I can't allow anyone to put anything inside there. Kama nivo acha niishi na uchungu. But eventually he agreed to it, like after 2 months, and we went. The surgery was done. It took few hours, and now my son is okay. So my daughter also got treated. We got a psychiatrist, a very nice doctor. She was on therapy for 3 months, on injection for 3 months, for 3 weeks, on admission. And today she's okay. We thank God that we are now all healed.
Wow.
Yes.
And I'm sure as a family, because you seem like you're kind of okay. You forgave your ex-husband and moved on.
Yes, I forgive him because I realized that we can't dwell on the past.
Yeah.
We can't dwell on the past, and I asked my children so that for us to heal, we have to forgive and move on, because now he's dead.
Yes.
We can't ask him anything. Yeah, he's already dead. We can't, if we want to recover, we have to forgive and move on. And also, there's a lesson that we learned. Like for me, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I've tried, I wish what I know today, I knew that time. Because I came to realize that what was keeping me in that house is the trauma bonding. It wasn't love. It was trauma. As I told you, at first they love bomb you, like now you dwell on that
that good moment.
That good moments which
you
happened.
keep looking for it as you go on,
and you keep hoping that one day this man will change. And then they have two characters, one for the family and the one for the public. So in the public they are very good. They are very good. Actually, that's why I kept it to myself, because if
no one would believe.
No one would believe me, because he was so good to people, to other people. But when he comes home,
the demon in him comes out.
The demon in him comes out, and that was a serious. That is what is happening to most of the men and women who lives with narcissistic disorders.
What would you tell anyone who's in some sort of relationship where you feel like it's not working? Because personally, I like telling people, si lazima.
Si lazima.
What would you tell anyone who's going through a situation like this, and what would you tell parents who've got kids with, like you've come with your biological kids and you've got like a new man in your house? What kind of advice do you have for them?
Okay, for those who live with abusers, what I want to tell them, because I was there, you cannot change a man. It's only God who can change them. So I will urge you to step out, leave that family, because if the person is abusive, and it can be a lady, it can be a female or a male, it happens to both. There are even men who suffers a lot, and people who have the same disorder. So what I will urge them, it is life sio marriage peke yake. Apana. I used to hate being a single parent, but today I'm a proud single mother, and I'm happy about it. Number two, I will urge the parents, and especially those who have young kids. Let me tell you, learn their language, because if only I learned their language that time, and not to assume that everything is okay, let me tell you, I could have changed something, or maybe what they went through, maybe it couldn't have ever happened. So I will urge the parents, please be close to your children, learn their language, and if you have a foster child, or else say you are in blended family, let me tell you, those kids, if you don't consider them as your own, that demon will come in and you'll mess them up. So let's love with godly love. Let's not dwell on human aspect, because like I thought that my husband will love my kids the way they are supposed to be loved, but yet he wasn't doing what I expected. Number two, if you realize you have a problem, because no one is perfect, no one in this world is perfect, sorting a professional help is very, very important. Wale wanaendanga kwa therapist, they are not mad. No, even me today, once in a month or so,
you go to therapy.
I go to therapy, because I need to know how I'm doing. I'm not perfect. So I will urge those who are going through, even the abusers, they know they are doing it. Yeah, not that they don't know. They know they are doing it, and maybe they are willing to change. And for you to change, you can't do it on your own.
You have to seek help.
Yeah, seek help.